everybody, and welcome to the Dewayne Benton Show. I have a great show for you today. You know, this is the month of October, and of course that means Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I know so many people, including my mom, who is a breast cancer survivor. Now, this special guest of mine, she's a breast cancer survivor also, but she's also notably known around Memphis, Tennessee. And I would say certainly her signature was that beautiful hair. Please welcome my guest, the one and only Miss Pam Mckelvy. Hamner, how are you?
Thank you so much. That was sweet. I'm doing well. I'm blessed, grateful, and just every day praising.
This is your journey. Even though I know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
right?
This has kind of been your plight lately. This is what you're doing.
It has been, and it was a godsend because when I was diagnosed in 2012, I had been out of television for 8 years. I think my son was 8 years old at the time, and I was looking to get back into something small, not big time, but just small to keep me, in the know of television news. And that's really, it's my gift. That's what I love, television news and journalism, community. And so it came on the day I had my surgery, which was December 12, 2012. Tammy Phillips at was the news director at Channel 5. Tammy Phillips, who's still a great, wonderful person. And she said, I think I have something for you. Because she and I had been talking for the last 2 years off and on. But see, I did not want, and I don't think they really believed me, that I did not want the 5, 6, and 10. I didn't want that kind of a lifestyle anymore. But I mean, Memphis loved you. And Memphis was a good market for me, and I loved Memphis, and I had a good time, and it was wonderful. But certain things are not about what they seem, because everybody thinks it's this fairy tale life, and I'm grateful and gracious, but my journey is so much more. And I think when I got sick with the cancer, that was one of those parts of my journey that I just said, God was saying, hey, looky here, you are so much more than any of these things that you associate with. Like you were talking about the hair. What was the first thing I was concerned about when I got cancer? Not the real life-threatening things. I was like, oh Lord, am I gonna lose my hair? And God over these last 8 years almost now with the hair thing, God is like, you don't even know the blessings that I have abounding for you. You just looking at this, right? And how your hair is so much more than you think it is, in the sense like God knows every strand of hair on my head. Think about that. And the cycles I've been through, losing hair, new hair, generation hair. And I said, whatever hair God puts on my head, that's what's meant, and I'm not going to try to project the outcome of it, to make it look perfect like I did when I was on television, spending an hour a day. I would spend an hour a day. I'd be late to work, but an hour a day to make sure my hair was perfect. I put so much into my hair because of that physical, thing that we grow up with our own insecurities. I mean,
were you encouraged though to keep that look?
Yes, it was a part of the franchise. And we know how visual we are as a medium, especially Black people, in a time when Black people were not accepted for their natural beauty, and their natural dark skin tones. So I felt compelled to make sure that it was exceptional, that there was no room to talk about we weren't able to maintain a polished professional look. We're kind
of really ahead of where we're going, because I really want to go back into your life a little bit, because you're not a Memphian originally, right?
No.
Where's home?
Home is actually Kansas City, Kansas. I was actually born in Detroit, Michigan. We lived in Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, and we moved from Michigan when I was in the 9th grade. I was going to Cass Technical High School in Detroit, which is also like the #1 producer of African American college students in the city. And I ended up moving to Kansas City and graduated from high school there in KCK.
So, as I've seen pictures and heard the stories, you were a pageant queen. You were doing all of those kinds of things. So, is it safe to say you were pretty popular as a kid, teenager?
I think that, I don't know if to say popular, no. Because popular kind of means well liked, I guess. But you're talking about high school. People didn't embrace my boldness in declaring my own affirmations when I was in high school. Either they loved you or they hated you. And a lot of times when you're not secure insecure in your own identity, you somebody else stepping out on theirs, especially that looks different, talks different, acts different, you might not like that. And I didn't have a lot. I had a small circle of friends, which is good, and it taught me lessons. But on the general, people were kind of taken aback by that because they weren't secure in their own thing. Who does she think she is? That kind of response, you know.
But did you grow up in a household where they encouraged you to be the best Pam that you can be?
No.
Really?
Not at all. And the sad part, you know, I never talk about my public thing. I grew up in a home where my mom was never married. She had 4 children by 4 different men.
Yes.
And I had a lot of shame about that. And also my mom was, which I later learned, was bipolar. So there was some mental illness going on in our household. And there were a lot of other things which I wrote in this book that I have not published. And it's a lesson.
We all have stories. Right.
So, you know, I didn't grow up with this encouragement. I thought, first of all, when I grew up, when I was about 8 years old, I heard things like, your hair is nappy. My sister, her father was biracial, and so her hair was coiffed. You know how black folks used to say, good hair.
Yeah, you got the good hair, right.
She had the good hair. I had nappy hair. I can't comb your hair like hers. Your daddy ain't no, you know, just, I mean, tremendously things that I'm not going to broadcast here that I was able to write and convey in the book. But they were very traumatic and painful. And it wasn't a lot of nurturing and love. And so my becoming successful was my escape. It was my way of saying, this father that I've never known, that I've only heard negative things about, who has never even known, I don't even know if he knows I'm alive, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually thought I had no father. And somebody, when I was like 8 years old, and one of my playmates was like, you have to have a father. And I said, no, I don't have a father. She said, but you have to have a father. And that's how I learned about conception.
Yes.
At 8, so I went and got it in a book, and I started reading. I mean, that's why I started my journey of reading, you know, and
to know the story of your life.
Right. And that's why I said I don't believe in coincidence. When you parts of your journey and where God puts you, I don't believe that those things are coincidence. And your circumstances are nothing. People read circumstances as shame and failure, as a dictation of who they are. Like one account of it sums up your whole story. No. A book has several chapters, okay?
Absolutely.
It got a lot of chapters, and a lot of books, you know, got whole Infinity and Beyond Part 2, Volume 3, you know, that kind of a thing.
Right.
So, you know, when the circumstances happened to me, it was nothing but God putting the things in my life to always shine me a beacon of light of something else. So when I was in the 4th grade and I read Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, you know, it spoke to me. And I was a product of Detroit public schools, which at the time were like trendsetters. I mean, the teachers back then were already striking, demanding the issues with the curriculum and the classroom size, and because it was a big school district. And so that was my lifeline. I started reading, writing, getting in competitions, getting acknowledged by that, and that's where my acknowledgement came from.
What was the moment that said to you, even though you had all these obstacles set before you, you know, the nappy hair and the confusion about your relationship,
ignorance, poverty,
your parents, and what was the defining moment for you when you said, you know what, this is not me?
My older sister tells me that when I was about 13 years old, because once I started, like when I was in the 4th grade, that changed my life. You know, because then I started writing, and my teachers took interest. I can remember all of my teachers, like from 2nd grade, middle school, high school, because there was those kind of teachers that you had personal relationships with. To one now to this very day, when I go home in Kansas City, you know, she was my high school English teacher, and so I've always had relationships with them, and they gave me advice, and I was one of those kids, I was clinging to it because I wasn't getting it at home.
Oh, wow.
And when I was in the 4th grade, and then I was in the 5th grade, I met Miss Beasley was my teacher, and so I became her teacher's aide. That allowed me time to have access to, like, I would get to see the teacher's manual, you know, like with the answers, even because I would already have done my homework, but I would check myself again. And so, you know, and it was fascinating. I started reading about.
It seemed like you were heading toward education. Did you?
I used to want to be an English teacher. I did.
That's amazing.
I did. I wanted to be an English teacher.
Oh my goodness!
I wanted to be an English teacher.
We're talking to Pam Mckelvy Hamner, and we have so much more to talk about. I want to talk about the pageant days and when did the hair finally become the signature? Because remember, she said everybody thought she had nappy hair.
Right.
Well, it was one of the most beautiful things that Memphis loved about Pam Mckelvy on TV. We'll talk about that and so much more. Stay right there. We're coming right back.
Hello, I'm Sherman Brown. If you need a new roof, BSU Roofing and Construction can help. BSU Roofing and Construction is factory certified, and we offer 5 times the warranty of traditional roof installation. Call for a free roof inspection at 901-672-7585.
Hey, cousin. Thanks for calling me back. Uncle Brother died last night. He didn't have any insurance. And I'm calling family and friends to see if y'all can help me out.
How many times has this happened in your family? Call Memorial Gardens Insurance Services now to get the coverage you need. Immediate coverage on most plans, no medical exams, and payments as low as $15. Call 260-2647. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're talking to my very special guest, breast cancer survivor, Pam Mckelvy Hamner. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We were just talking in the last break about your life here in Memphis as we know it. You were really sort of stigmatized as the pretty dark lady with the pretty, beautiful hair. How did that make you feel? Was it rewarding, good to hear?
It wasn't good to hear. It wasn't bad to hear.
Yeah.
It makes me think of, the late Ruby Wilson was one of the icons of Memphis that when I came here, and I loved Beale Street and used to love to hear her sing. But I remember she said to me one time, because I told her about how people judge me so much on my looks, because I had gained weight, and I was like, people just judge me so much on my looks, And she said, it's better to be looked at rather than viewed.
Wow.
Took me a minute to think about it, but it impacted me. I got chills. I still get chills when I think about it. Because the important thing is not what people think about it, it's the enrichment with the story. I know that at one time I felt my hair was not attractive, and now that I've got new hair, I'm like, whatever guy hair puts on my head, that's good hair.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what was told to me. That's what the enemy wants me to put in my head. That's the thought he wants to give me.
Right.
But I reject it. And that's what I had to do my entire life, every struggle I had, overcoming poverty. I was the first person to go to college. When I went to college, I had no help from my mom. It's a heartbreaking story. She basically told me to do it myself. You so smart, you can go to college, you do it yourself. That kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had an aunt that was, when somebody is in your life that is like yin and yang, negative, good and bad.
Yeah.
God's always got a counterpart. And my aunt was that counterpart.
Yeah.
I can remember her coming to Detroit. I did my first pageant then. It was the Miss Black August pageant in Detroit. And I won like a $75 watch and $75 in a watch. I was like the third runner-up or something amongst all these high school girls. Because I was just going to the 9th grade and they were all already in high school. And I tap danced and it was great. It was fun. It's like these people are looking, and I remember so many people coming up to me telling me I was pretty, and I kept saying, thanks, thanks. But you really still don't believe it because you've heard so much negativity.
Well, can I just say, I think even still today, that when you see a beautiful, dark-skinned black woman who has herself well put together, to people, I will say to people, not to me, but I've noticed this, is people said, oh, you're just so beautiful, as though you are so different. Like the norm is she's got to be a certain color to be, oh, she's so beautiful. But when they see a dark woman,
it has to be exceptional.
It's like, oh my goodness, you have just...
It's the same mental slavery shackles that were put on us in the beginning of 1619, okay?
Exactly.
It's the same mental slave shackles. And unfortunately, when you don't love yourself, that's what you project out, that self-loathing thing.
Yeah.
Because we have been conditioned to believe that if we went to Africa, there's nobody that's beautiful. When in fact, if you go to Africa, trust me,
right.
I love to post the pictures that you'll never see. Everybody's beautiful. everybody's skin is radiating. Everybody's cheekbones are high.
Yes.
Everybody's teeth are straight.
Wow.
Okay, they look like Iman and what's the sister's name?
Is Beverly Johnson?
From we just watched her last night. Lapita.
Oh, yes.
They look that kind of striking where you just like, wow.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. Your environment is so important, you know, and your brain is the biggest environment, what you allow in.
Well, it's the same with Oprah Winfrey. When she started out,
exactly.
She told the story of how when she was kind of raised up in a mom in a poverty situation, after her grandmother had passed away, she would go and her mom would like sort of have to stay with people. And so she had another sister who was light skinned.
Yes.
And she talked of the hurt that she would feel when the sister could sleep in the house,
right.
and she'd have to sleep on the screened-in porch because she was the dark-skinned and that.
And I have similar stories like that, which I've written about in my book. I mean, and to the point where my mother basically just told me, she said negative things, and I don't think, whether or not she knew they were hurtful, I can't judge that. All I know is that they were hurtful.
To you, absolutely.
They were hurtful. And, you know, my epiphany came for me. You asked me about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was in Memphis. I had already done Miss America. I had been third runner-up to Miss America. I paid off all my college loans. I was dating my husband then. I had no money problems. I was what the young people say, living my best life.
But what was the mindset? I'm going to be different. I've got people to show. I mean, I'm asking,
mindset was that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was living here on Cleveland Avenue, where I showed my son where I lived, and I was looking at my journals because I started keeping journals when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at my journal, and for the last 7 years, with all this success supposedly I had in my life, I was still stuck. Jill Scott has a song called "I Used to Be Stuck." I was still stuck.
Yeah.
I was stuck. I was stuck on that my father never loved me, my mother never loved me, and now that I'm this successful person, all they want from me is money and accolades and fame, and act like they didn't mistreat me. And I presented that to my mother and started going to therapy. And that I was 20, when I got here, I wasn't 30. I wasn't 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started going to therapy. And that's when I started having my breakthrough.
Wow.
And then look at what my career did. And it's been a process on that, letting go of everything. Everything has been a challenge. Even having my son, I thought, God is mad at me, so I'm never going to have a child because I got, you know how the devil, you got enough. You know, look at, we done made up for all your little stuff that happened to you when you was a kid. And you just gone. And then I had people in my family manipulating me for money. We all know that story. Come on, black people, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to the town. I mean, I can't imagine somebody like Oprah because I know how much money she has. But let's just say per capita, I was manipulated to the tens of thousands from family members who to this day will still not acknowledge that to me, and then will say, oh, you just think you better than everybody because you got this, that, and manipulate you with that, overcoming that kind of stuff.
And when you don't know yourself, you'll believe what they say. Otherwise, realizing that they obviously have issues in their own life.
Oh, the projection.
Yes. So
that's why I said it's been a journey for me. And with everyone, and with the cancer, the most important one with the cancer is God is saying true redemption, true trust in me. Mm-hmm. For the first time in my life, didn't try to micromanage, didn't try to write out my game plan, how I'm going to overcome this, surrendered it. And when I surrendered it, everything worked into place. And when I did not pick back up anger and resentment,
wow,
that's when I was blessed.
That's the breakthrough. That's the breakthrough. My goodness, this is we're not even halfway through. And we've got so much more to talk about. Stay right there. This is Dewayne Benton Show, and my friend is with me, Pam Mckelvy, Hamner. We'll be right back.
In order to keep your business afloat, you must collect payment for the products or services you render. Unfortunately, not all customers are reliable. If you're a business owner, you likely have very little time on your hands to make those frequent telephone calls or to write letters in an effort to collect delinquent accounts. Hi, I'm Marilyn Mosley with Resolutions Collection Agency, and I have been a professional agent for more than 20 years right here in the Mid-South. They say the older an account is delinquent, the harder it is to collect the debt. Not with Resolutions Collection Agency, where we specialize in resolving any debt by any means. If your demands for payment have been unsuccessful, hiring Resolutions Collection Agency could be extremely beneficial for your business. Call us today, 901-427-3040. That's 901-427-3040.
For the best tamales this side of the Mississippi, there's only one place to go. Pop's Original Hot Tamales, 2467 Park Avenue. They've been a Memphis classic for over 13 years. Whether you need 1 dozen or 10, hot, mild, or mixed, you can get your fix at Pop's Original Hot Tamales, located in the heart of Orange Mound, 2467 Park Avenue. Open Tuesday through Saturday from noon until 10 p.m. Call 901-490-4017.
Don't forget about Pops.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're talking to Pam Mckelvy Hamner. You remember her from television. She has actually done a couple stints in TV, and
Yes.
During her process of going through the breast cancer, you actually got a call after and said, Channel 5 said, come on.
Right, Tammy called me,
Yeah.
and she had emailed me, and she said, I think I got something that will work for you.
Had you started treatment?
I was in the hospital. It was the day of surgery.
Wow.
It was December. I'll never forget December. I was at the hospital. It was a Baptist East Hospital,
Yeah.
surrounded by my family. My husband had just told me that my lymph nodes were positive because I had already told the Lord. I said, Lord, I know you got it. I said, but I just don't know how strong I am. If my lymph nodes, got
Yeah.
some issues going on.
It's the immune system.
So I'm not asking for any. I never asked for any personal favor. I never did, because I was. For the first time, I was really, really trusting God with everything.
Yeah.
Because I was a micromanager, control freak, alpha dog, alpha female dog,
Yeah.
whatever. I got a plan for everything. I'll make through it, you know. And my husband told me that. That's what I'm saying. This is God. My lymph nodes was negative. I said, thank you, Jesus. I can handle whatever's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I look in my email. Tammy said, I think I got something for you. And she had it specifically brought out with a date saying, I want you to come and do a studio test. So that's real. That's like final closure on it, because we had been talking back and forth for 2 years. And the time was right. She said at 4:30. Ian then was like 8 years old. And I want something where my son is my priority.
Right. You couldn't do the night shift anymore.
Right, 4:30. She said 1 hour, you gone. I was like, look at you, God. You showing out.
But Pam, I honestly thought you didn't want to come back. I honestly did.
I left television for my kid.
Yeah.
And I left again for my kid.
Yeah.
And it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
My vision, whatever God has for it, I think is something. Television is a catalyst and a part of it, but it's more than I can see. So I've just let it evolve. And my passion is the writing.
Yeah.
The writing. That's what gives me joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me feel like I'm in my purpose. So I'm just letting God develop me, use me, and be patient and be a good steward and share and really learn and live. Because I've not listened to be obedient.
Mm-hmm.
I've said what I want to do. But I pray that thy will be done.
Yeah.
And that's scary for me as a person that always want to manipulate the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here you are. You're on news. And of course, as a news anchor, you are to bring the news. Whatever the news is of the day, however you feel about it personally, does not matter. You deliver it with that same face. You have to.
Right.
But personally, for you, what was the gratification of doing the news? Were you bringing stories that were close to your heart?
When I was on the air, Channel 5 was my best 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was my best 10 years so far on the journey. Because although that was the beginning of fighting for what I felt like was quality programming. It didn't mean we didn't do the BS news, which we know we all do.
Right.
But at least I felt like my voice was heard enough to where I could impact the stories we reported. And I got to do some good stories that impacted us and to dig deep of it. I remember doing the Church Divided series, which was the 7-part series. It was my special report about whole thing with religion. And I did the one about white Jesus and about the segregated hour of 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I did the one about the origins of gospel music and how slavery was used. I mean, how religion was used in the manipulation of slavery with the Bible. So, and it formed relationships, and that's how what built that. Everything I did was real. I went to community. I went to so many different schools, churches, whatever. One lady even called me one time on my voicemail and wanted me to come to her son's birthday party. I was like, okay, ma'am, that's a little bit off the rails, but nice, but no, I'm not coming to your son's birthday party for no shout out, But,
wow. Yeah. It's strange like
but
that.
Memphis was a good. I have funny stories. I remember being I was a shopaholic, which I still am, and I was out shopping in East Memphis on my lunch break, trying to be inconspicuous. Had my head down, and the lady said, "I know that hair." She said, "That's Pam Mckelvy." I was like,
my point exactly. I'm telling you.
Like, I know that hair. You can't hide. I was like, oh, I'm on my lunch break. You know, I'm trying to be at the station.
That is awesome. Okay, let's switch gears just a little bit. Stay in the news business. What's the relationship between the primary anchors in Memphis?
Oh, I can't tell you about anybody else's. Oh, you mean like the
ladies?
Oh, no, yes. All of us are still tight. That's why we were heartbroken to learn about Donna.
Donna Davis.
You know, heartbroken.
Yeah.
Heartbroken.
I know.
Heartbroken. So we stay in touch. This market was the best market for black women and cohesiveness, because I have worked in some markets with some toxic black women, okay?
Yeah.
And it's, because they so scared and they trying to, make their way in it. But I never wanted to be that way. If I need an anchor, I would pass on an anchor job for that. I'm not finna stab nobody in the back to get up,
To get the position.
Right. So this market, I still remember Ethel Steenstack when I came for my interview.
Oh, wow.
And Ethel, I had a booger in my nose. And here I was I had my Dana Buckman suit on. I was Dana Buckman down. I mean, I was like, my hair was laid. I had my pearls. I was like, I know I'm good. This, keeping myself hyped up. And she pulled me off to the side and she said, she had tissue and she said, go on and clean your nose. And I said, thank you.
That had to be so embarrassing.
Ethel, I said, I love these black women. I said, because the news director was which they fired him a year later, but I loved my GM, Bob Oath. I love him. He's a good person, human being. And I love the people, everybody else at the station. And I remember when I said, these some cool black women. I told them, I said, these some cool black women at this station. And of course, Stephanie was Masara. Yes. April Thompson was cool. Lisa and Dandridge, Markova, everybody. Pam Critney, all the black, it was just wonderful. Yeah. And he's like I said, God puts you where you need to be.
Yes. So Donna Davis, that was very sad to hear. Were you all friends?
We were. The television. Now we weren't buddies like that close hanging out, but in the social media part, television, yes, we were. And I remember sending Donna yellow roses when she went to Channel 5. And she said, thank you so much for these tulips. Donna did not know she ain't know about flowers like me and stuff. And I said, okay, great. And I called, I don't know, I think it was Holidays. That's my favorite florist. I said, Donna said y'all sent her tulips. They said, no, they was just real tight, so they'll open up beautiful. And I said, y'all sure? I said, maybe she don't know flowers or whatever. So I had them send her another bouquet. And Donna said, oh my God, I got 2 things of tulips. And I said, well, Donna, so I asked her, she said, oh, are they roses? Because the next day, the other ones had opened up. And she said, oh, well, they're not, these are roses. I was like, oh. Bless her heart.
That's a good way to remember her.
Yes. But the yellow rose is a sign of friendship.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was always gracious and kind when we spoke. I just wish that I would have taken more initiative to befriend her, because there's a lot of depression that goes when losing your job and going through things when it's so public.
Yes.
When it's so public.
And you guys are there. I mean, when you guys, our contracts are not renewed, the news, media will report it.
Love feeding on that kind of stuff. They really do. They love feeding on it. And that's why the day Stephanie called me that morning, and I was like, I shut down, because I was like, this is unbelievable, because I felt like, the meds, she had been on the meds and she was depressed, and I was like, I wish I would have reached out more. And so all of us stay tight. We stay tight.
I'm hoping that they'll show, I heard that she had done an episode of Bluff City Law. She had been in that, and so
I knew it was something that she had just getting back.
Yes, I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to see her again on film.
We will. I hope
that would be wonderful. We're going to take a break. We'll come right back and we'll continue on with our friend Pam, and we're going to also talk about what's happening in your life now. What are you doing? Where are you going? What's next? All that and much more. Stay right there.
Hello, my name is Sherman Brown with BSU Roofing Construction. When the elements are hard at work, BSU Roofing Construction is working hard for you. We have a 31-point checklist to make sure that the job is done right. Quality in BSU is pretty much the same name. Give us a call at 901-672-7585. BSU Roofing and Construction, our name is the same as quality.
Hey cousin, thanks for calling me back. Uncle brother died last night. He didn't have any insurance. And I'm calling family and friends to see if y'all can help me out.
How many times has this happened in your family? Call Memorial Gardens Insurance Services now to get the coverage you need. Immediate coverage on most plans, no medical exams, and payments as low as $15. Call 260-2647. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking to my friend Pam Mckelvy Hamner. And Pam, you in the industry of television news, you get to meet a lot of people.
Yes.
Prominent people, famous people.
Yes. I used to keep a list of it. I had to tell my son, he made me watch Chernobyl. And I had to tell him that I got to interview Mikhail Gorbachev when he received the Freedom Award. I believe it was 1997 or 98 or something. And I said, I have the pictures to prove it, because he was like, you interviewed him? That was impressive to him.
Yeah.
Not, the other stuff, that mommy does, but that I got to interview him.
Yeah.
But the most impactful person, I was in Kansas City. I was a young reporter. It was 1994. And I was a weekend anchor at WDAF. And Maya Angelou came to Unity Temple on the plaza. And the main anchor was given first priority. But she said she didn't know who Maya Angelou was. That's right, Dewayne. That's what, and African American. Okay. And I was like, I do it. I said, I do it. Y'all ain't even got to pay me.
And that's it, you're good. How was the conversation?
Oh my God. I went and bought her, I had $5 left after I bought this $30 bottle of sherry till I got paid 2 days later. My gas tank was full though.
Yes, always, always. One thing you learn about business, you take care of the gas tank first. Right,
you got to get to work. And I bought her a bottle of sherry, and I had brought these poems that I had copied, and she signed it for me. It was Still I Rise. I got one for myself, my husband, and the guy at Kinko's. And she said, Maya Angelou said, first of all, she gave me a lesson. She said, you are her voice, you are so grateful, Miss Mckelvy, to do that for them, because, you did not have to do that. And she opened the bottle of sherry right there. She said, would you like to have a drink? And I said, no, ma'am. And her brother Bailey was still traveling with her then. If you know anything, I'm a huge Maya fan. Her brother Bailey was with her. And I said, I am witnessing history. I felt like I was in a movie. I felt like I was in a movie.
Really?
It did not feel real. Like I can see her brother opening that bottle of sherry for her, because, she likes to, when she writes, she likes to drink sherry. She liked to drink sherry, but I later found out that it was really scotch that she liked to drink. So that made me feel better about myself and my tequila.
Wow.
But it was wonderful. She was gracious and sweet, and when I introed her, I had music played. It's on a video. I have a cassette tape of it.
Oh wow.
It was called An Evening with Maya Angelou. And then when she came to Memphis for Lemoyne College, that was like 90. That was 94 in Kansas City. I want to say it was 98. It was either 98 or 90. It was 98. And I got to introduce her again, and she was just as gracious, and just, and then I saw her the last time she was in Memphis. I wasn't a part of the program, but Agape brought her in. Yes. And that's when she was sitting down in the chair.
Yes.
And it was wonderful.
And I heard also that someone who told me this, I don't know who it was, but when you take pictures with her, even though she was in a wheelchair, she would not allow you to bend over. You had to stand up straight.
That's Maya.
That was her thing.
Maya she wasn't just about empowerment for yourself. It was about empowerment for everyone else. We are meant to encourage one another. Yeah. Even though guilt, you uproot guilt and sow forgiveness. Yeah. Uproot guilt, uproot it, dig it out. Yeah. Sow, lay down, plant forgiveness, so that the future, even though the past is tormented, so that the future can be brighter. Yes. That's what inspires me.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So Pam, you have certainly made a mark here in Memphis. Whether worldwide media, whatever it may be, the internet, you have a name. You've established a foundation of who you are in media. So for the aspiring television reporter who said and still says to this day, I want to be just like Pam Mckelvy.
Oh no, don't say that.
But some will say
say be the best me that I can be.
Yeah.
Since I was 24 years old and I was Miss Kansas and I was talking to 20,000 students across the state, I used to have this thing say, be the best you. Be the best version of you. Visualize yourself as the best. Not because at that time people say be like Mike. It's wonderful to be inspired by somebody.
Right.
But be the best version of yourself.
Right.
Okay? Because your best version is not the same as my best version. And as collectively as we are the same, we are so individual to the strands on our hair.
Absolutely.
So let that shine. That's why I don't, the whole thing with people in religion, I have such an ambivalent relationship sometimes with organized religion. These laws and norms we put up. I know that I have a sense of what's right and what's wrong. Mm-hmm. I think it's wrong to hate and it's right to love. And to me, that should be a simple thing.
Yeah.
And that if you kind of live that kind of mantra, then all the things about you God will take you to places you never imagined. Because I never would have thought growing up in Detroit, the way that I did, that I would end up with a life like this.
Yes. So, okay, again, to the young lady who looks at you, have watched you over the years, and now you've just told her, don't be the best Pam, be the best you.
Right.
So what are the professional things that you encourage her to do to be her best? Because you've been there, you've done it.
Right. To learn herself, to read as much as she can about things that interest her. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, for me, I had to learn about the people I came from because I always felt so isolated and like I didn't belong because I didn't have a dad. Yeah. So things I did was I enriched myself in learning that. Because what happens is when you got a good foundation of who you are, you can walk into the White House, you can walk into the State House, you can walk into somebody's own house and present an interview because you recognize them as another human being and you've done your research, your work to do it. Yeah. To do the work, that part. Yeah. And so much of it too, you gotta, at some point in your life, you got to have that consciousness of faith and trust. Right. I don't know if you call God, Buddha, Allah, Jehovah, Rose of Sharon, Prince of Peace, whatever you call God. You got to have some kind of consciousness to guide you right and wrong. Because to me, that's the acceptance of life.
Absolutely.
Breathing. A lot of us just existing. We ain't really engaged. Yeah. We getting up, we going to work. But we not really think, that foundation. The legacy we leave? Because we all gonna leave the planet. We all gonna leave the planet.
And hoping to leave empty.
Use it up.
Pouring out everything that I have in me to use.
Amen. And I think that's what God rewards, that kind of faith.
So Pam, this is funny here. You like fishing?
Big time.
This is the other side of Pam.
Because I don't look like this at the house. I certainly don't walk around the house with these shoes on. I am so country for real. My friends, they really laugh at it, and because they're the ones that's all girly. When I caught those fish recently, and I go fishing twice a year now with my guide friend Warren, who is an awesome guy, because all I do is show up. I'll be like, ooh, this is so lovely. Yeah. I ain't got to do none of the work. But man, my granddaddy taught me how to fish when I was 8. I had my granddad.
Is that therapeutic for you, or you just have fun with it?
Yes.
Yeah. What other things?
You got to turn off static. I read a lot. I meditate a lot. Here of lately, I've been trying to get back into the yoga and this whole cancer thing. I've had 11 surgeries. I had my last procedure last week. Praise the Lord. I just don't want more surgery. Yes. I've had 11 surgeries since 2012. And physically, I know I make it look good. I don't never complain. And I pray, I have my moments I just break down to God and be like, really, really, really. Then I catch myself and I go back to my mode, and I think about that historical Jesus walked the planet. Physical man. It's the reason why the flesh had to come down here, because he knows pain. And he knows pain greater than any of us, because he made the ultimate sacrifice for pain. Yes. And that takes me through a series. Like Maya said, I might stay in a funk for a day or two, or sometimes a week, and just be like, and then eventually I go right back to the word. It lifts me up. It replenishes me. It restores my soul. It's just like, right. And that's what I do. I've been doing that, the reading and the writing, and that's what, loves me. I found recently my 4th grade Detroit Public Schools award certificate from when I wrote the story. In the 4th grade in a citywide competition.
Why are you women great at that? You guys can remember dates.
I know.
Keep historic stuff.
And I have boxes and boxes of stuff. Even all of them. My Miss America stuff,
all that stuff should be a part of the book. Keep it.
That's why it's been, as I said, God is still working on me, and I'm trying to, old me be like, oh, I gotta have the outline, I gotta have. God's like, just chill. Let me show you what I'm doing, because you ain't trying to rush to sell no book to make no money. You don't need you don't need money in that sense. So, and I'm grateful for that, because it makes it more enriched.
I think I would love, I'm just saying, y'all, I make the decisions on this show and what I do. I'd love to give you this seat and let you talk to some more women who have walked this journey with you, and let you just share, because I think you really you have so many more stories to be told, and without the restraint of what the news media says.
Right.
We want this. Start off with a kidnapping and a carjacking, and stories are just inspired.
It leads. You don't know how many. I could tell you so many fights and stories I had in the newsroom.
Yeah.
I'm being.
How hard is that?
Very
to
hard.
Do it, because I've heard many anchors.
Stressful.
I've heard many anchors say.
I had a news director one time basically just tell me, you all can come in here and give your input, argue, whatever. He said, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that makes the decisions. I had one time a Jewish guy who was later fired for getting out of line at the National Civil Rights Museum tell me that black people think that they run all the stuff and get to make all decisions because it's a black city. I had a producer one time tell me, who used a picture of a toddler, a little baby girl, her still shot picture in a 10-second tease that implicated that she was the criminal, tell me I thought it was just another black child. I used to have the news director took me out of the newsroom with a producer one day because I was going into straight, we about to fight mode.
Yes.
Yeah, I was not.
And a lot of people, they don't see it because all of the fights and the battles happen in the newsroom.
Because when I came on the air, my franchise, people didn't, that was not their concern. My franchise and my marketing was about my presentation, and that's why I was consistent daily.
You brought it.
But it was some fire going on. It was some fire, and I'm sure there are lots of stories that people have talked about me.
Oh my God. I just really think that you should certainly. That's my next question I'm leading into is, what are you doing now? Where are you going? Because you can't just take this skill and sit on it.
Well, like I said, I'm letting God use me and present me in His timing or what have you. I enjoy the writing, the blogging I do on Facebook. People think that's for me. And that aids me in my writing. And I've been writing the whole time, incorporating, learning how I'm presentation to put it together. And when I'm ready for that part, I had my last surgeries, but I'm still fighting my feet, getting my feet all the way back healthy from the chemo. Yes. I'm still under treatments where I probably got about another 6 months, I hope 6 months to a year with that. I'm going to have a year's worth of dental work behind, even when I go to the dentist now, I have to take an antibiotic because of the risk of a bacterial infection just from cleaning my teeth. And
the chemo, all the side effects.
Right, these new normal things, right. Yeah. All this, like one of the surgeries I had to have a complete knee replacement. Mm-hmm. So it's the timing of it, but I'm enjoying being able to write, and it's also making me wiser and making me understand more humanity with people and the other survivors, and not being afraid to talk about it, and people isolating themselves.
You could have never made me believe in this conversation that you would be so candid. I feel blessed that you shared this with me, because again, people really don't understand the statement of we all have a story.
Yes, we do.
We all do.
Seriously.
We'll wrap up her story in just a moment. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dewayne, this is the Adventures of Cedric Thomas, and I'm in the heart of University of Memphis campuses over here. And guess what? I found a unique spot for you. This is one I think you're going to really love, and it's called the Memphis Popcorns and Treats. I'm so glad you allowed us to come in, Miss Jessica McKell, in your own special, unique, and designed popcorn treats. So we're so happy to be here. And if you don't mind, just tell me a little bit about how you got started.
All right. Well, Memphis Popcorn and Treats, we were started in December 2018, and it started off with a trip to Texas. Mm-hmm. And we visited a store. It was a family-owned business, black-owned business, and we became inspired because they were able to make money for generations to come. So the family family members were there, the cousins, brothers, sisters,
and they were all just
all working together, making a substantial amount of money from popcorn, something that's so simple. People love it. You can eat it with at the movies, watching a play.
Well, we know that it's one of the main things that the Super Bowl parties, you know, basketball sport is popcorn is the thing. So, in finding out and starting a business, who all is involved with you?
Yeah, I have 2 other partners. So, Mario Salisbury and also Anthony Jeffries and his wife. So, how I came into the business was my own venture. I was going to start it for my son, Carson. He's 2 years old. Okay. And he loved popcorn. So, they went to Dallas. I was already kind of in the mix starting a business for him, and we merged beautifully together, just kind of fed off of each other's energy. And I do more of the marketing. We have a team of staff that actually pops the popcorn fresh daily, and we're expanding that into grocery stores like Miss Cordelia, who supports business development.
All right. Well, during our time here, will you be able to show us around a little bit?
Yes, check it out.
But before we do that, I want to jump into some of these flavors here. Explain some of these.
We have over 70 different flavors. As you can see here, one of our top sellers is strawberry cheesecake, which is #1 selling. We also have Memphis flavors, such as we have the Grizzly Mix. We have the Memphis Mix, which is kind of a spin-off of the Chicago Mix. Yeah, that one's really good. Yeah,
this is the one.
Yes.
I've been looking around for some good popcorn with some flavor into it.
Yes.
And Miss Jessica, this is the one. What's it, strawberry cheesecake?
Strawberry cheesecake. You can order the cheesecake by itself and mix it with different flavors. So you can make a blueberry cheesecake or.
All right, let me taste one of these.
So this is one of the kids' favorite. This is actually confetti. So whenever you're having a big birthday party, we do popcorn buffets, and that's a really big seller there.
This is good. This is good. Now what we got?
So this one is special, specifically for Halloween. As you know, the holiday is coming up. So just something fun and festive for that. And we also have pumpkin spice on its way as well.
And I'm looking up here, and I see that you have the different sizes that they come in.
Absolutely. So not only do we have just an assortment of sizes, but we also have different ways you can present it, including like the tin cans. So we're bringing back the tin cans, which is really big in Memphis. You know, you used to go to your grandmother's house, and you would have that popcorn that's set up for a long time, usually caramel with cheese and maybe like white cheddar and just the regular cheese. So with our tin cans, they are refillable, so you can come back in with that same tin can and fill it up with any type of flavor that you like, any one of the 70 flavors that we have.
Wow. So that's
actually one of our cheaper options instead of buying a bag every time. Yes.
Wow. And this right here is some of the flavors you have displayed.
Absolutely.
Now tell us some of this barbecue pizza, and spicy buffalo, and 901 heat. How did you all come up with these flavors?
Just trying out different ones. It was like trial and error. We would have nights where we would just buy flavors and try them out and see what went with what. Kind of like you're playing in the kitchen, learning how to cook. That's how we came up with these flavors. Just as a highlight, we have quite a few Memphis flavors as well. Like 901 heat is specifically for Memphis. You won't find that one anywhere else.
Wow, that's awesome. So let's go back into the back and let's take a look at some things on how you all create this wonderful flavor of different type of popcorn. Let's go look at that.
Let's go.
Now we have made it back here to the back where all of the stirring up and the creative mind thinking of how we making the popcorn with the flavors. We are here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she has going on with some machines here.
Yes, this is where the magic happens.
Yes.
So we have some heavy machinery back here. This machine can pop gallons and gallons of popcorn. So first it goes from the machine, and we lay it out here to dry and let the loose kernels fall to the bottom. And then this is our mixing container. So we mix the different flavors, and then it falls out over here, and the whole process takes about 10 minutes.
And is this where you all do the preparing?
Yes.
Like after the flavors, then you stuff them or put them in the certain bags?
Well, the flavors are actually mixed. So if we did multiple flavors, we would just push them to the side and just have an assortment of different colors and flavors on this palette, and then we would mix them up from here.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. And so how long does it take to do all of this?
Well, from start to finish, about 10 minutes. It's really, really quick.
10 minutes.
Yes, it's a great popcorn. It's a great business to be in.
10 minutes, and then you're ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm just amazed on how this really works. And so this is a device here that you all use to flip over the popcorn and stir it up.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so this is awesome. All right, you guys.
Thank you
we
so
thank
much.
you all for joining us, and I want to thank you for allowing us to come in on your busy hour and be with you with Miss Jessica here at the Memphis Popcorn and Treats, right here on Walker Avenue in the heart of University of Memphis.
Yes, go Tigers.
This is where it's at. All right, back to you, Dewayne.
For the best tamales this side of the Mississippi, there's only one place to go. Pop's Original Hot Tamales, 2467 Park Avenue. They've been a Memphis classic for over 13 years. Whether you need 1 dozen or 10, hot, mild, or mixed, you can get your fix at Pop's Original Hot Tamales, located in the heart of Orange Mound, 2467 Park Avenue. Open Tuesday through Saturday from noon until 10 p.m. Call 901-490-4017.
Don't forget about Pops.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking to Pam Mckelvy Hamner. This has been good for me. I still actually have chill bumps running through me. And as I said to you before the break, it's amazing that you have been so candid with me. I thank you. I didn't pry and ask you to say anything that you didn't want to say. But what I do pray is that somebody heard you.
Amen.
That somebody's listening to your heart talk.
Right.
Because you've said some powerful things today.
Right.
As you go forth in your journey, what's next? Are we going back to TV?
I doubt if I go back to television. I never say never, but I doubt if I go back to television.
Yeah.
For me, my purpose right now that I want to walk in is to be able to do that writing, and to be able to do the writing to where it's meant with a purpose. And meaning the blogging, if somebody can read it, if somebody can feel it, make them encouraged to dig on that, pull back a layer of something, so that we all get that enlightenment and discernment. So I'm grateful for that right now, and I'm doing a lot of writing. And this helps you. Some of the help, it helps me too, because it's therapeutic for me too to reaffirm. Because you got to be your own self-encourager, because the enemy is working 24/7, 365.
When did you get to the point though where this is norm for you now? I mean, to understand that.
In these last 7 years, what Sophia's saying, the color purpose sat in that jail about to rot to death. By 8 years, so about 8 years, seriously.
And what happens is we spend a lot of our lives, I'm radio, she's television, we spend a lot of our lives trying to give this personality life. And we live it and we do it and we do it, and then you meet people all the time. You're out in the malls, and and a lot of people are kind of, to me it's still a surprise that even though I've not been in radio since 13, people will come up to me and say, "Oh my God, Dewayne, I miss you," and that's surprising to me. People are like, "Why are you so surprised?"
Because the impact, the impact. It's like the memories, and what we get what we need on that. I can think of, when I was working in television every day, I used to listen to when I was driving to work, oh God, see, this is chemo brain. I see Chrissy Taylor's face.
Yes.
Okay, it was her hour on the radio. Like now, most times when I'm driving, I'm catching Sherry Mackey. That's my hour. Whatever when I'm driving. But I can tell you days that they said something that clicked right with me. Because that's what I was meant to hear. We all got messages for one another.
Yes,
we meant to encourage one another.
Yeah.
And it's the more that we're vocal, the less people feel to be afraid, the more we can help one another. Because the enemy wants to keep us isolated.
Yes.
Because that's how you conquer and divide. That's how you conquer and divide. But when we all come together and say, "Oh, you mean to tell me that breast cancer made you depressed too? Breast cancer made you think you wasn't attractive no more? You thought if you didn't have a breast that no one would want you? That your womanhood is gone?"
This is why I told her you can have this whole set if you want, talking about it you want. Because I think these stories need to be told.
Yes.
We see them on a national level, which is great, but there are so many women here. I remember when my mom used to go to treatments at Baptist, and I would see people some of them were like comedians or whatever it was, some people, church members, and I had no idea they were going through breast cancer.
Right.
No idea. And I think that there are stories.
Nobody wants to feel vulnerable. And unfortunately, people can be cruel. People can be cruel, and a lot of folks aren't sincere, until it happened to them.
Yes.
And that's okay, but you just need to be sincere in it, because everybody, there's this ism, and that's the enemy working through the flesh, and you got to really let that go and let God humiliate you. But when God humiliates you, it's not humiliating. It's enlightening. It's like freeing. To take that away from you, to take that shame, that guilt, whatever it is that's binding you in that kind of a state of mind, so that you feel free from it, that you no longer allow the thoughts of the enemy to make you, if somebody sees me with chemo, oh, they're gonna think I'm dead, or I'm not good enough, or I'm, something like that.
Yeah.
So it takes the faith. Yeah. Faith is the verb. If you, I can't go around here talking about I say I trust God, but then I'm acting scared.
That's my story. I always say that.
So
I'm trying to tell you. So here you are. What do you want to say to women? Because again, a lot of people are standing right here saying, I know exactly what she's talking about. I feel what she's feeling. But when you first found out, how was support for you?
Good.
Your family support was good?
My husband and my friends were really, really good. Yeah. And I had some family members, not all of them, because like I said, there's some fraction in my family. But for the most part, on that shore part, the superficial part, even that was there, So, and it was good. And my whole trust was in, I'm telling you, my whole trust was in God. So I didn't make any demands of folks, but my family members and my friends automatically stepped up. And I got a good circle of friends. I got a good tight circle of friends.
What do you think people who have gone through breast cancer want the public or people to know, even somebody who maybe is not going through now, what are preventive things they can do, and what do you think they need to know?
It's breast cancer, all the cancers. It's not that it makes that you do something to cause it.
Right.
The lifestyle things are beneficial, whole style lifestyle things that also not just to help with the prevention of breast cancer, but heart disease. So things that I've done to change on that, like now I drink plenty of water. My blood work was the best this year in all 8 years.
Wow.
I eat spinach, arugula, beets. I enjoy these things now. Vegetables, like if I have a meal and I don't have no vegetables, I'm like, ooh, this don't feel right. My digestion is better.
Yeah.
I get my water in. I still enjoy fried chicken, but I don't, it's in moderation, and I'm getting the vegetables, and I exercise now.
Yeah.
I love stretching and yoga, swimming, whatever you find to do, some gardening.
Yeah.
There's times I worked in the yard when I'm sweating like a Hebrew slave and funky like a Hebrew slave. Okay. But that's okay. Because I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm. This has been good, and I thank you so much for doing this for me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Final word. This is your camera here.
Oh,
what
it
do you
is.
want
Okay.
to say? What do you want to say to Memphis? I don't want to say women, but to Memphis about who you are, their journey.
Okay. Well, I think that what I want to say is how I think of myself coming here in 1995. It was the time of the OJ verdict. I was the city was kind of like a little cinder box. Not in the sense where I thought people were going to break out on the streets and cause riots, but there were some things that needed to be talked about. And I'm glad that people were able to listen to me with the stories that I reported and the things that I did and how I presented the news.
Yes.
And I feel that love to this day. I mean, I still go all over the Mid-South, and I appreciate that. And I hope that the people that I interact with, they know, from years and years around. And I still have people, even now with my hair like this, when I start talking, they go, oh my God, Pam. And that's wonderful for me, because that makes me feel the love that I hope I radiated. And it is love. I've learned that. It is love. Because I never, ever want to hate. I might not like something, and I may be very vocal about expressing myself, okay? But in the end, I'm going to pray. I'm going to love. I think about this city. I think about Billy Kyles often because I sat and interviewed him. He's the one that told me about the rattles shaking down at Bishop Patterson's church, Claiborne Temple, the night that Martin Luther King before he gave the mountaintop speech.
Right.
Okay. I think about when I went to Little Rock and saw the Little Rock 9 and how I met Ben Hooks. Just drove by the library today. On the first story I went out on, I met Ben Hooks, he and his beautiful wife Frances, and got to go in to meet them. And now Ben Hooks from the NAACP.
Right.
So I mean, Memphis has been a wonderful place for me,
Yes.
and I never try to be braggadocious because I like my actions and my record to speak for itself. So I'm just gracious and grateful.
Wow. And
that's what God bless her.
You've just been so vulnerable since all of this has happened in your life. She's got a beautiful son, family, and I'm just so grateful that you're here to tell your story.
Thank you.
To God be the glory. Thanks again. We'll see you next time right here on the Dewayne Benton Show. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie.